Sure, flashy animation and wild fight scenes are great at grabbing your attention, but what really makes an anime unforgettable? It's the story. We're talking about the kind of narratives that stick with you long after the credits roll, the characters you can't get out of your head, and the plot twists that make you question everything. Today, we're counting down the 10 greatest anime stories ever told, from sprawling epics to legendary films. So, get ready to see which masterpiece takes the top spot for its sheer narrative genius. Think your favorite will make the cut? Let's find out. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Made in Abyss. Now, don't let that adorable art style fool you. This is a brutal, brilliant story about the true cost of curiosity. The show follows a young girl named Riko as she descends into a massive, mysterious chasm called the Abyss, hoping to find her mom. The world building is just phenomenal, with every layer of the Abyss introducing new wonders and way bigger dangers. What makes the storytelling so sharp is the clash between its childlike sense of adventure and the horrifying reality of the world Riko's exploring. It's a story that draws you in with beauty and then completely devastates you, proving that the best adventures are often the most dangerous. At number 9, we have the iconic psychological thriller Death Note. The whole story is one giant, high-stakes game of cat and mouse between Light Yagami, a genius high schooler who finds a notebook that can kill anyone whose name is written in it, and L, the shadowy detective trying to stop him. What makes Death Note so legendary is its incredibly tight, suspenseful plot that explores morality and justice. This isn't a story that leans on action, it's a war of wits, where every single move is calculated and the tension just builds and builds. As we watch Light slide from a well-meaning hero into a full-blown tyrant, the story forces us to ask ourselves where the line between good and evil really is. Our number 8 pick is Vinland Saga. What kicks off as a pretty straightforward revenge story quickly becomes one of the most powerful character studies in anime, period. We follow Thorfinn, a young kid whose father is murdered by a clever mercenary named Askeladd. Fueled by pure hatred, Thorfinn joins his enemy's crew, just waiting for the day he can finally get his revenge. But the real genius of the story is what happens after revenge stops being the point. Thorfinn's journey from an angry, violent kid to a man searching for a world without fighting is one of the most real and compelling character arcs ever. Vinland Saga is a patient and powerful look at what it means to be a true warrior, teaching us that real strength isn't in a sword, but in the fight for peace. Cruising into the number 7 spot is the one and only Cowboy Bebop. On the surface, the show feels like a string of adventures, following a crew of broke bounty hunters. But under its cool blend of sci-fi, western, and noir, there's a deeply moving story about the past. Every character on the Bebop is running from something, and the show expertly weaves their backstories into the present, creating this beautiful mosaic of memory, loneliness, and regret. The story doesn't hold your hand. It trusts you to connect the dots of these broken lives. It's that mix of stylish action and sad, soulful character depth that makes Cowboy Bebop a timeless classic about finding a temporary family before your past finally catches up to you. At number 6, we've got Steins Gate, which is easily one of the smartest time travel stories ever told. The series follows a self-proclaimed mad scientist, Okabe Rintaro, who stumbles upon a way to send texts to the past, accidentally causing huge, disastrous changes to his own timeline. The first half of the show is a slow burn, carefully setting up the characters and the rules of its world. But once the consequences of their meddling really hit, the story flips into a heartbreaking thriller. The plotting is just so tight, and the emotional payoff is massive. Okabe's desperate fight to fix his mistakes, where he has to face impossible choices and crushing losses, makes for a story that's as smart as it is emotional. All right, we're at the halfway point, and the list is only getting more stacked from here. If you're digging our breakdown of anime's best stories, this is the perfect time to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming up next. For our number 5 spot, we're jumping into the world of film with a Studio Ghibli classic, Hayao Miyazaki's masterpiece, Spirited Away. The movie tells the story of Chihiro, a young girl who gets trapped in a world of spirits and has to work in a bathhouse to save her parents after they've been turned into pigs. At its heart, Spirited Away is a stunning coming-of-age story, but it's also packed with deep themes from Japanese folklore and Shinto beliefs. The story is really an allegory about the fear of growing up, losing who you are, and the corrupting power of greed. Every single frame is full of meaning, telling a timeless tale that proves a self-contained movie can be just as epic as a massive series. Rolling in at number 4 is the grand epic itself, One Piece. For more than 2 decades, Eiichiro Oda has been building one of the biggest and most detailed worlds in all of fiction. The story follows Monkey D. Luffy on his quest to find the legendary One Piece treasure and become the king of the pirates. The pure scale of One Piece's storytelling is what makes it so special. Islands are mentioned hundreds of chapters before the crew even gets there, and tiny details can pay off years later, making the world feel incredibly real and connected. Every island has its own unique culture and problems, but they all slot into a much larger story. And beyond the huge adventure, it's the emotional backstories and the unbreakable bonds between the Straw Hat Pirates that give this world its soul. At number 3 is a series that completely changed the game for dark fantasy, Attack on Titan. What begins as a pretty simple story about humanity's fight for survival against giant man-eating titans spirals into a complex political and philosophical epic. The series is famous for its jaw-dropping plot twists, with reveals that constantly change how you see the entire story. Friends become enemies, heroes become villains, and the line between right and wrong gets completely erased. The story is a brilliant exploration of freedom, oppression, and the endless cycle of hatred, forcing you to think about uncomfortable questions that have no easy answers. With its incredible foreshadowing and shocking reveals, Attack on Titan is a masterclass in building a story where nothing is ever what it seems. Our runner-up for the greatest story ever told is Neon Genesis Evangelion. On the surface, it looks like a mecha anime about teens piloting giant robots to fight mysterious aliens called angels. But that's just a cover. Evangelion is actually one of the most intense psychological deep dives you'll ever see. It's a story about depression, trauma, and the desperate need for human connection. Its creator, Hideaki Anno, famously used the series to work through his own struggles with depression, and you can feel that raw, painful honesty in every scene. Each character is fighting their own inner demons, and the show uses all sorts of symbolism to pick apart not just the mecha genre, but what it even means to be human. It's a tough, often uncomfortable watch, but its courage to tackle such heavy themes makes it a true landmark in storytelling. And now, our number 1 pick for the best storytelling anime ever made is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. For many, this series is the gold standard against which all other story-driven anime are judged. It tells the story of 2 brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, who, after a disastrous attempt to bring their mother back to life with alchemy, go on a journey to find the Philosopher's Stone to get their bodies back. What makes this story so perfect is its incredible execution from start to finish. The pacing is amazing, with not a single wasted episode. The world is complex and political, but it always serves the main plot. And most importantly, it tells a deeply human story with a powerful emotional core. Its central theme of equivalent exchange, that you can't get anything without giving something up first, is baked into every part of the story, from the fights to the characters' personal sacrifices. It's a complete, deeply satisfying story with a perfect beginning, middle, and end. And that's our list. From the psychological maze of Evangelion to the flawless journey of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. These are the stories that have helped define anime and hook audiences for years. Of course, a list like this is always going to be subjective, and there are so many other amazing stories out there. So now, we want to hear from you. What anime did we miss? What series do you think has the best story ever told? Drop your picks in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.